Thank you, Mr. President, and through you to our colleagues. I rise in support of this truly big, beautiful bill. I am grateful to the Senate President, who continues to lead us through volatile times, including this moment of unprecedented peril. I'm grateful to our Chair of Ways and Means, who develops these spending bills for the Senate with a steady hand, an open door, a big brain, and an even bigger heart. Thanks as well to the able and tireless teams at Senate Ways and Means and the Senate President's office. And thank you to the Senator from Arlington, whose leadership of the Senate Committee on Steering and Policy has allowed multiple Response 2025 priorities to be woven throughout this legislation. It has been said, colleagues, that cruelty is rooted in weakness, whereas compassion is rooted in strength. This spending proposal demonstrates the Senate's strength and clear-eyed approach to the federal government's dangerous abdication of its responsibility. It's responsive, strategic, and yes, compassionate. The Chair of Ways and Means detailed a number of spending provisions. For me, I'd like to highlight the mass health investment, $12 million for universally free breakfast and lunch at K-12 schools, $5 million for reproductive health care for providers to maintain access to services, $10 million for DTA to ensure that it has the tools it needs to grapple with changing federal directives. And let me say, friends, we are at a moment of great uncertainty as the federal government has signaled an end to SNAP payments in November. So DTA needs all of our attention and all of our dedication. This bill, as the Chair said, protects the gains that this Senate has led in higher education to maintain the stipends and to create a fund of $100 million, which we need to be able to buffer the changes at the federal level. And as the gentle lady from Arlington said, at a time when healthcare access is threatened for so many residents, for a second spending bill in a row, we take action to protect the healthcare sector, and I am grateful to the gentle lady. Among the additional responsive policy changes included in this bill, we protect our residents against harmful policies. It allows our public health to trust science. It prepares our state to respond to natural disasters as the federal administration dismantles FEMA. And here, let me recognize the dedication and leadership of the minority leader, who has, for as long as I've been serving in this Senate, called us to pay attention to disaster relief. And with his leadership and with the Senate's leadership, we have passed a disaster relief program, and thanks to the Chair, we are dedicating money, again, at a time where we cannot count on the federal government to help our communities and our residents in times of peril. The Senate is dedicating money. And it also, as the Chair said, criminalizes the impersonation of federal law enforcement officers. I could go on, but let me just say lastly, this budget also includes an important piece of policy that, as the Chair said, responds to increased incidences of anti-LGBT rhetoric and extremism across the nation. Changing one's name, friends, should be a simple process. File a form, a judge reviews it, and signs it. Instead, Massachusetts residents are currently required to post their name change in a local paper, ostensibly so that interested parties have an opportunity to dispute. However, this is very archaic. Judges may waive this antiquated and expensive requirement, which many do willingly, but there is no guarantee they will do so. So for gender nonconforming and transgender people, for survivors of domestic violence, and for all people who decide to change their names, the publication requirement creates barriers to accessibility, to safety, and to self-expression. The provision included in today's bill allows public notice of legal name change petitions only in certain circumstances and for good cause. It also seals judicial records related to legal name change petitions, meaning that these records will not be accessible to members of the public unless allowed by the court or requested by the petitioner. This will significantly increase our constituents' privacy and safety and ensure that people who seek to out or harm transgender residents or survivors of domestic abuse cannot easily access their name change documents. 27 states and the District of Columbia do not require the publication for a name change, and I am proud that the Senate is taking action today to further protect our constituents amid such fear-inducing times. This provision would not have been possible without the strong leadership and advocacy of the Massachusetts Transgender Political Coalition and GLAD Law, along with a coalition of over 26 supportive organizations statewide who have worked with my team and I, and with House leads Representative Lindsay Sabadosa and Jack Lewis. I'm also really grateful, tremendously grateful, for the collaboration and the work of the trial court, the district attorneys, the registers of probate, as well as the senator from Boston, the chair of judiciary, and her staff for their support and understanding the urgency of this provision. And before I close, friends, please let me acknowledge the work of my legislative director, Rachel Klein, who led this for our team. Policy changes may look simple, but as this body knows better than most, nothing is simple when we want to change policy, and we wouldn't be here today without Rachel's shepherding and her skill. Thank you, Mr. President.